We're coming to you right now from Canberra, the nation's capital, having just talked to politicians from all sides of the House around issues that matter to young Australians. Right now, as we speak, Treasurer Scott Morrison is preparing his first budget papers as Treasurer, and Malcolm Turnbull is gearing up for an election that will make or break his Prime Ministership. It's critical that at this time they hear the voice of young Australians about the issues that matter. For Oaktree, these issues are poverty and climate change, particularly Australian aid and climate finance being the two vehicles that we use to address these massive issues affecting the world's most vulnerable people.
We met with Mark Dreyfus, where we spoke about the future of the Australian aid program. He told us that he believes expanding Australian aid is directly in Australia's national interest. It was really exciting for us to hear that perspective from a leading member of the Labor Party. The decisions made by our leaders must prioritise a safe climate future, thereby ensuring the long-term health, safety and security of all Australians and our neighbours in the Asia Pacific.
Climate change poses a massive threat to development and our region. That's why it's really important that when we're talking about aid and Australia having a generous and effective aid program, we're also talking about climate change. Climate justice is the word for this. It's really important because it recognises that the countries in our region who least contributed to climate change and are least able to adapt and mitigate to the realities of climate change are bearing the brunt of it now. This is only going to get worse into the future. That's why it's really important that this election in 2016, we're talking about aid and climate justice, and we're getting it on the political agenda. To do this, we're going to be out there in the community engaging as many people as we can, as well as decision makers, whether that's in politics, in business, or out in the community. And if we can do this and get aid and climate justice onto the agenda, it means that we can secure a collective future that we can be proud of.
More than anything, what we want to see is an Australian aid program that understands that Australia is a responsible, compassionate and generous nation, and understanding that aid can be used to really target systemic issues that perpetuate poverty, and that it's not good enough to be a prosperous nation in a region where there is so much suffering, so much poverty and such a widespread denial of human rights. We see countries in our region, our closest neighbours like Papua New Guinea, who face extreme challenges, incredible challenges to women, to young people, to people living with disability, to ethnic minorities, and this is just not acceptable in the world that we're living in. And Australia has a key role in partnering with these countries and working together to solve these challenges. And so what we want to see is Australia and the Australian aid program as being outward looking, generous, and not fixated on self-interest and national interest and only forwarding and advancing its own goals and aims. We want to see Australia as a generous nation, one that really understands what its role could be in developing a prosperous Asia Pacific and seeing human rights respected across the world.
Young Australians want their leaders to invest in an Australia that is ready for the challenges of their future. This year, we want to demonstrate the ability for young people to influence change. We do have a stake in our future, and we need young people involved and to vote on issues that matter to us.
At Oaktree, we really believe that investing in young people and investing in the power that they represent in terms of future leadership and generational change is going to be key to overcoming some of the biggest development challenges that we face, both in our region but globally.
Overall, we felt that we achieved a positive outcome and progress in the area of Australian aid and climate finance, and had constructive discussions.
In a global world, we share our humanity, but we also share our future. And right now, the future that we want to see is in jeopardy. Australian aid is at its lowest point since we ever started recording the amount that Australia gives. We are officially the least generous that we have ever been as a nation. The rise of climate change and the very real impact the changing climate is having on the world's most vulnerable communities is present, it's real, it's now, and it needs resources. This year with the federal election, we're going to be mobilising thousands of young people around Australia, calling on our government, calling on our elected representatives to take action on this issue. So, join with us in this election campaign. The power of young people is massive. We've seen it before and we're going to see it again. Get involved so that we can together build a collective future that we can all be proud of.